every single online service business needs some type of funnel, right? So if you don't have a funnel, I'm going to give you the 4 funnels at least today that you can pick from. I'm going to walk through 2 specifically because they're the most common, and then you can go from there. You can choose, right? Because the likelihood is you probably don't have a concrete funnel set up that you know is going to print you money. If you put money into it, is it going to spit more money out? That's the idea. If you don't have that, then this video should be extremely valuable for you. If you have an online service business, maybe you're a coach, consultant, agency owner, maybe you have an info product, that sort of stuff, this should hit nail on the head for you with that. If you don't know me already though, and you're new to the channel, then welcome. My name is Reuben Shears. I have an online funnel building agency called Optimally, where we're talking about essentially building funnels and mathematically looking at how to scale your business. I've been doing these daily update videos for 83 days in a row now. After 100, we will drop it to kind of a weekly frequency rather than daily. But for now, this is good for building my confidence on camera, my ability to present, speak, all that good stuff. So let's dive straight into the video. So there's 4 types of funnels. I'm going to just start on here. I've talked about this in previous videos before. There's 4 types of funnels that you can run. Anything else that you've probably seen is just really a load of rubbish, right? All we've got is we have VSL call funnels. So we're driving people to a sales call. That's one type of funnel. The second type of funnel is you're driving people to a webinar. You've probably seen this. So it's some sort of event that people join, right? That you're inviting them to, and you're selling in the one-to-many fashion. The variation of webinar here, by the way, is that you can either, everyone who joins the webinar, you can sell directly to a checkout page, so they just go and pay themselves and there's no need for a sales call. Or the people that attend the webinar, they go to kind of a next stage of the funnel, which is booking in a sales call. You can choose which one you do. And it's really dependent on what mathematically makes sense in your business, the market that you're targeting, what's your average order value, that sort of stuff will help you make that decision. Especially if you have an ROI calculator of some sort, that should massively help. The third type of funnel, which is a little bit less common than the top 2 here, is a low to high ticket funnel. Low to high. Just going to write that. And then number 4 is, sorry, I should explain what a low to high ticket funnel is basically you get people to buy a product that might be anywhere between $30 and $200 up front, and then you upsell them progressively, like from 30 to 100 to 500 to 1,000 until they become basically an interested client, and then you can upsell them on super high ticket services because you've acquired the client on autopilot and liquidated the ad spend that it costs to actually get those in the first place. So you're progressively upselling them basically from a small thing all the way up to a high ticket thing. And then the last type of funnel is a challenge funnel, which is basically an extension of a webinar funnel, right? It's either paid or free to join, but it's over like 3 to 5 days where you're basically promising an outcome if they attend these sessions that are either on Zoom or YouTube, right? And then at the end of that, you get a chance to pitch your stuff and then you go from there. So it's like I say, it's like an upgraded webinar funnel. It's a lot more effort and it's more about giving value to people rather than just literally selling something on the webinar straight away on the first opportunity. Those are the 4 types of funnels. In today's video, I'm going to talk about these 2, how you can set these up. So these top 2 VSL call funnels and webinar funnels, what the landing pages are going to look like in structure, and any kind of automations that you need in between. I'm going to show that to you now. So without further ado, let's jump into the VSL call funnel first. So there's 2 types of VSL call funnel. There's one with an opt-in at the front. So people give you their details first before seeing the VSL and that kind of booking landing page. And then one where they don't have an opt-in, they go straight to the page and they have the opportunity to book immediately or fill out some sort of application, right? So we can get additional details and then qualify them subsequent to them watching the video. So basically the only thing that changes about these 2 that I've got on the screen right here is that one will have an opt-in and qualify people before they even see the VSL, and one will do the latter, right? Which is basically qualifying them after watching it. So it's very, very simple. It's probably the simplest type of funnel you can build, which is why 80 to 90% of businesses should be running this type of funnel. And it's what I build for my clients on a very regular basis. Now we've got very good at that and getting good results from it. We're only really branching into these other funnels now in our rev share agreements, but the call funnel is our bread and butter. So if we just look up the structure of these pages, if you have an opt-in, the first page is obviously going to be an opt-in page, headline, and then literally a learn more button. When they click the learn more button, it'll pop up a little pop-up that will just collect their info, basically their name, their phone number, their email, so that we can add them into the CRM and tag them, right? We could even have a question about income on there if we really wanted to, if we wanted to add a bit more friction. Because then what you can do is you can send them to a VSL page. So there's a couple of different variations of this VSL page. All of them are the same kind of structure, but the variation is that one has a pixel one and one doesn't, and depending on how qualified they actually are. So we're sending the correct data back to Facebook. What you'll see here, though, is the structure is basically a banner at the top with some sort of urgency element. Why should they actually even engage with this now? And then the headline. So what's the outcome that you're actually going to promise them by watching this video, really, and engaging with you? So you have a 5 to 15 minute VSL on that page, ideally. Again, that varies depending on the market that you're selling to. If you're selling to a very sophisticated market or they are very rich people, you don't need a long VSL. That's actually for less sophisticated buyers, the longer the VSL, right? If that makes sense. And then what you can do is if there has been an opt-in, so they've already given info, then you can just get them to book a slot straight away. So you have your calendar embedded and they're booking for a slot and a time with you, and then they can go from there. Underneath is just case studies and testimonials. If on the opt-in, though, they've come through and they're not qualified, you can send them to a disqualified page, which looks a little bit like this. It's very, very simple. It will be the headline just saying, you're not quite ready to work with us yet. And then underneath, there you can do one or two things. You can either send them to free content, so YouTube videos exactly like this one, and have them binge watch your content until they're ready to actually work with you. Or you can send them to a low ticket funnel, right? So it's kind of like a bit of a hybrid. You're just doing that to really liquidate ad spend. Because if you spent money on acquiring that person in the first place, you might as well try and get a little bit of money out of them. That's the idea there. But you would have to set that up, and that is a bit more effort. I have tried to set that up for my ads that I'm going to be running very, very soon. Mondays when I'm going to turn them on. So I do have this in place. I'm running a VSL cool funnel myself. And then once they've obviously booked in, we're going to send them to a thank you page, which is one of the most important pages in the entire funnel. And it's structured a little bit like this. So at the top, we have a banner that says, please complete the steps below. And the headline simply says, your call is booked, but it's not fully confirmed yet because we need everyone who joins our calls to do these steps below, right? And that's also what the video says. It just says, thanks for booking, confirm and booking in your slot. These are the steps that we need to do before you actually join the call. And underneath, there's a service breakdown video or text, doesn't really matter. So you can have a little text section, or you can do an actual video for it that they need to watch to understand what your offer is and the breakdown there. Also, the VSL, if you want to slot that in too, is really, really good. And then make sure there's a little call to action to just add it to their calendar. It massively boosts show rates if they just actually add the event to their calendar after you've sent them the confirmation email. So it's just a reminder to do that. Breakout videos if applicable. So if you've got enough time and effort to make them, then they are individual videos handling objections in descending order of frequency, right? So say, for example, I got an objection that was, I don't know, I can't afford a really, really high ticket service, and that was my most common objection. That'll be the first one that I show in those series of videos. Underneath, case studies again, if they haven't seen them already, it's good to have them. And then the last thing is just send them to a YouTube playlist that you've created that would just be the best type of playlist for someone to binge watch, to be ready to buy your services, right, by the end of it. That's kind of how that works with an opt-in. This kind of without opt-in is exactly the same, but you send people to the VSL page straight away. And instead of embedding the calendar in the step 2, you have like an application. So like a type form or whatever that has the same logic as the opt-in, but it's on this page once they've watched the VSL. Same thing applies. You send them to the booking pages, disqualified page if required, and then the thank you page as well. Very, very simple funnel to run once you've got that set up. So if you want this built for you though, in terms of the actual logistical things on the landing pages, help with scripting the videos, editing the videos and all the stuff in between, then you can click the link in description and I will help you out with that, no problem. So that's that type of funnel. It's a VSL funnel, a VSL call funnel. The other type of funnel though is, that's probably slightly less common than a call funnel, is a webinar funnel, right? And that's what I mapped out here. I'll speed through this a little bit quicker because I know this is a longer video today and I don't want you guys to get bored, but I should be providing some value here. That's the idea. So the nature of a webinar is that we need to get people to register and then we need to get people to show up, right? And then so we can actually pitch them on the webinar itself so that they buy. So it looks like this. We have a registration page that has a headline, VSL, looks very familiar as you can see, to the other one. For the reason that this is what converts, it's the most linear funnel that you can build. And you'll see that throughout here, we've got very regular call to actions to register, because there's going to be a lot of buttons on this page to pull up the opt-in, which again is just name, email, phone number. That's what that does, is pop up. So this is the order, social proof, event outline, so what's happening on that call, what to expect, a before versus after transformation of before anyone ever attended the event and afterwards, what happened to them, overview and recap of the offer and stuff, who we are, so who actually is the host of the webinar, what's the business about, and then outcomes to expect. So what could you expect from the webinar itself? And then just, that's about it. But you're slotting call to actions in between so that there's just the maximum amount of conversion on the page. Then what we do, so you can see that's the nature of the pop-up there, is we have all sorts of like tags and stuff that go into the CRM to trigger automations for people to show up, right? So it's basically just nurturing them before they actually get to the webinar itself. And they actually show up as well. That's super important. Then what we do is we actually use a survey straight after that, so we can collect more information from the people signing up to the webinar. We can get as much kind of data as possible so that we can make better decisions when running ads, when building new funnels and running this funnel again from the actual potential prospects. So that's what this is. Short headline, video explaining the survey and why they need to complete it. The reason being that they need to get to the last page to actually confirm their slot of attending the webinar. So that's just built in Typeform as well. It just seems to be the best software at the moment to just maximize the completion rate. And you'll get a high completion rate from completing this survey if you do that. Then what we do after completing the survey is we send them to like a VIP ticket, right? Where they can upgrade for say $97 or $47 or whatever. And the reason we have that is so it liquidates some of the ad spend that we spend to even acquire the registrants in the first place. And that way you can reinvest it. And actually it's going to increase the show up rate of those people that actually buy it. Because think about it, if you bought a VIP ticket to an event, there's no way you don't show up to that event because that would just be a waste of money. And we've also seen that those people that buy that ticket are also more likely to close as well, because they've already spent money with you and they must trust you to an extent. So that's what this page is. You can see headline, video explaining what the VIP ticket is, so what they get with it. Maybe it's an extra session, maybe it's an extra deliverable, workbook, whatever. An option to add to cart or just skip and continue and not buy it. But regardless, they are going to either go to actually buy the ticket, obviously, or they're going to go to the confirmation page. They'll go to that afterwards after buying the ticket anyway, which is basically to join like a WhatsApp community before the event. Because if we get people in the WhatsApp and we're saying event is in 10 minutes, blah, 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 and we're spamming that and giving value in their voice notes and all that sort of stuff, again, they're more likely to show up, more likely to be ready to actually potentially buy. So that's like the first bit. That's the registration element of the webinar. However, if you're doing a direct checkout call to action on the webinar itself, then you need a way for people to kind of go through the funnel and actually buy from you. So the way we're doing it at the moment, this may change, is having an offer page, which is it's just a big kind of sales landing page. It has a VSL at the top, obviously, and call to actions in between to convince people to actually buy the service. If you're doing direct checkout, you probably shouldn't do it if you've got a super high ticket service like 10K plus, but if you're below that, you could probably get away with it if you've done the rest of the funnel right. So when they click this call to action, we're going to give them some options, right? We're going to get the PIP option, so they pay in full. They literally pay the full amount and get, X, Y, Z bonuses from doing that. Or they have the option to do the payment plan and just pay monthly, for example. But that is going to be overall more expensive for them, which is why we give them the choice in this case. Again, I'm going to think about how we actually frame this because I do want the maximum amount of people who can pay in full to do that. That's the idea with that. And so we send them to a purchase page and then a one-click upsell. So maybe some additional WhatsApp support or whatever. With one click, they can get that. We can make more money from that. And then we send them to confirmation, thanking them for the purchase. And then we just get them into the program, right? If that's what you're selling, an info thing, right? That is the structure of the funnel in terms of a webinar. So we've got webinar and VSL. You can now choose which one of these you want to run based on this video, based on what you think is the right fit for you. If you sell a high ticket service and it's a very personalized approach for everyone, I would advise doing a call funnel because it's the simplest way of doing things. But webinars do work, and I'm merging into those now and getting used to them. And that's why I made this video. So hopefully that helps. Bit of a long one today, but we will call it there, and we will track our growth on YouTube and LinkedIn. 9596 on LinkedIn. Good stuff. And 175 on YouTube. So subscribe again in the last 24 hours. I appreciate that. There's my growth on YouTube over time. And there is my growth on LinkedIn over time. You can see it's a positive correlation with my consistency of posting videos and posting on LinkedIn. If you want to watch another one of these videos, that should be value packed. If I've done my job right, then you can watch it on the screen here. And if not, I will catch you in the next one tomorrow. Have a lovely day.